What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything? This is a quote from none other than Vincent van Gogh. I had the opportunity to attend an immersive exhibition of his work in Boston. It was grand and luxurious. As I laid under a hologram of stars projected onto the proverbial ceiling, a thought came into my head. I would never have had this experience if I went with other people. Why did I do this by myself? Why did I go into this blindly and hope for the best? It's for the same reason that I did this program in the first place. If you had told me that I was going to be living in Boston for a semester back when I was in high school, I would have thought you were crazy for two reasons. One, because I longed to go home more than anything else in the world. I was born in Boston, and after 2 separate stints in Sydney, Australia, and Charlotte, North Carolina, I didn't believe going back home would be within the realm of immediate possibility. 2, because it was so wildly outside of my comfort zone that it was a dream I wouldn't even have dared to fathom. Over the course of my semester in Boston, I learned, firstly, that nothing is perfect. I anticipated challenges like getting groceries and waiting in line for a bus that never seems to come. But the one thing I couldn't have anticipated was the fact that I was alone. For 90% of my time here, I went to the cinema, Harvard Square, and did other exploring, mostly single-handedly. This wasn't the fault of anybody in particular, or isn't an attempt to shame anyone into wondering why they didn't spend any time with little old me. I'm an introvert, and it can be challenging to maintain relationships that would have allowed me to share these experiences with others. During my early screening of The Tragedy of Macbeth, I sat next to a fluffy white Pomeranian service dog named Yip Yip. He made me smile, even during the scary parts. During my Harvard Square outing, I stumbled across a comedy show where comedian Chris DiStefano made an impromptu appearance. The reaction of the college students running that impromptu show made my day. Finally, during my aforementioned visit to the Van Gogh exhibition, I ran into a young family. When we were seated in a giant room with the colors and spirals of Van Gogh plastered across the ceiling, I felt a pang of jealousy. Why did they have someone to share this experience with, but not me? In that second, I realized that we were having the same experience, just through different lenses. We saw the same colors, the same stars, just differently. One thing I learned was how to build independence. I grew up through this experience, and I realized that I am capable of being on my own. I don't have to rely on the good graces of others to promise myself the opportunities I felt I had been denied at the beginning of this experience. I can attempt anything that I set my mind to. It took 21 years for me to realize that being alone doesn't have to be scary. I encourage you that the next time you think of what life would be like on your own, to reevaluate your own way of thinking about it. It doesn't have to be isolating, it can be exciting and riveting. I come back to Van Gogh's question. He asked, what would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything? After my semester in Boston, my response is that life would be meaningless without the experiences to drive it. Thank you.